You love it. It's a horror tonight down on Party Beach. Radioactive monsters from a chemical breach. Stay off of the sand, stay out of the waves. Who will help us? Can we be saved? There's only one woman on planet Earth who can kick their butts back into the surf, then send the flaming bodies straight to hell. Only one woman named Eulabelle. She don't need a knife, she don't need a gun, 'cause she's packing bags of sodium. First there's a pop, and then there's a flash, reducing these monsters to a pile of ash. She don't hang around to watch the deli sing, drunks outside a drugstore or Tina swing. Monsters hide in caves or at the bottom of a well, but they can't escape from Eulabelle.
Rumors of an invasion from the sea took on a new dimension last night when over 20 teenage girls were brutally attacked and murdered during a slumber party. A survivor described these monsters differently from those which terrorized the beach only a few days ago. Meanwhile, specialists from all over the United States converged on our city to find out the identity of these strange creatures from the sea.
There's only one woman on planet Earth who can kick the butts back into the surf, then send the flaming bodies straight to hell. Only one woman named Eulabelle. Greetings, gherkins, gherkaholics, whatever you're calling yourselves today. I'm not wearing a hat. Forgot my hat. It's our 75th day of over 95-degree heat here in Philly. My neighbor's away at the shore, and we have to water her plants out front, and I've got to step outside to do that. And Vienna went outside earlier and watered the plants out back, but she came in looking like she'd been through a war. And yeah, I went walking around yesterday, put up some posters, and for a show that Heinrich is playing at. Heinrich makes me do his dirty work. Yeah, I came home brutally beat down. So that's where I've been. I should be sitting here with beer instead of coffee. But the coffee, I'm going to need it to make it through this. All right, so this is another installment of FrankenCartridge, obviously. And you've seen the video. So as is our adopted format, I guess our format didn't know it was adopted, and this is coming out of shock. Adopted formats are special because they were chosen. I'm not mad at you, Christina. I'm mad at the dirt. But as is our adopted format, first I will give you a little bit about the inspiration of where the song came from. Should be easy to guess on that one if you're a horror movie fan. But after that, at a certain time stamp, will be what we call music stuff. And that's where I talk about what was used to make the song, what either equipment or reverb or anything like that went into the actual making of the song. So that will be at this time stamp here. Can you see this timestamp? That's where you go for music stuff. And then at the end, the third segment, I will give you a little tips and tutorials is what we call it. And that's where I talk about little tricks about how to do things, or just in case you've ever wondered. To a lot of people, all of this seems like magic. But anyway, tips and tutorials shall be here. Here, at this point. At this point. Why can't I? There we go. At this point. You'll see them there. Go there if that's what interests you. Some people are interested in where the song came from. Other people don't give a crap. They want to learn how the song was made. Some people don't care about that. They're like, I've always wondered how this stuff was done. And then some people don't care about the last two, but they care about the first one. What is wrong with you, and where did that come from? All right. So right now, let's go to inspiration. All right, Gherkins, what you're going to do is you're going to want to go watch the movie The Horror of Party Beach. That's if you haven't seen it. There's a good chance, if I know my audience, most of you have seen The Horror of Party Beach, but if you haven't, go see it. You can watch it for free on YouTube. Also, there's if you don't want to watch the whole movie, or you're like, oh, this is a weird old 1950s weird ass movie, you can watch. There's a Mystery Science Theater 3000 version of it. That is really good. Yeah, go watch that. Joel and the Bots, or Mike and the Bots, or just the Bots, or the Mads too. Those are the most famous people I can think of. And also there is, if you don't have time for all that, there's a Dark Corners review that actually came out just as I was wrapping up the song. So that was fortuitous. But go watch those, and I'll sip my coffee. Okay, you're back. I don't know what you thought about Horror of Party Beach, but there aren't a lot of beach movies filmed in Connecticut, and that's a local biker gang in there. And I'm using the term biker gang in its broadest term. It's like if the Velvet Underground and some beatniks had decided to form a biker gang. I love that. I love the character of Tina. It's kind of sad she leaves early. I just love that line. You ain't seen nothing till you seen Tina swing. How to use that in the lyrics. So, yeah, that is The Horror of Party Beach, and that's what inspired the song. It came out, the idea of doing a surf song, I was talking with Dan Stevens, or Dan Drew, whatever you want to call him, bass player for the Dead Milkmen, and he has a love of surf music. I'm less of a fan of surf music, but I started talking to him about that weird crossover between surf music and sort of horror rock. We're talking like the Cramps, probably the most famous example of that, although some of you might know the band the Chups. Chups are pretty famous. Their song Magneto, one of my favorite little tracks. And then there's also a band called Twin Temple, maybe less surfy, but they're like a satanic rockabilly type surf band. So yeah, it's the exact opposite of Twee. If you're into Twee, this stuff will probably scare the hell out of you. It's like ladies dressing sexy. Oh no, I never understood Twee. I'm not a Twee fan. So I guess it allows some people to sell childlike doodles. I don't know, but yeah, not a Twee person. So the reason this film has always been close to my heart is after the Dead Milkmen's first sort of big show in Philly at the Trocadero Theater, we headlined, the Electric Love Muffin were on the bill. And if you ever wonder what bands do to party afterwards, we all went back to the Milkman house, and this is the movie that we watched. I'm the only real like horror movie aficionado in the band, so I don't know if the rest of the guys stuck with it the whole way. But Rich from the Electric Love Muffin, he loved it. He was like, "Oh my God, this is the way like shows should be. We don't want to fight, we just want to dance." So I thought that was awesome. And the song is, of course, Eulabelle. Eulabelle Moore, who plays Eulabelle, the maid in the, and she plays the maid because for people of color, that's pretty much the only role you could get back then. She plays the maid in that, and she saves the day. She's technically right about everything. She's like, I think those monsters are people. She's right. They're reanimated skeletons. They're basically zombies. Eulabelle, who's saying they're zombies, nails it, and then she comes in and saves the day by spilling sodium on that arm, and boom. Now, I wanted to end the song. I remember seeing a version, it may have been like, I guess maybe a live thing that RiffTrax did, and I couldn't find it. It might have been MST. But I remember somebody shouting, "Eulabelle, I love you," which was the original way to end the song. And I'm kind of glad I couldn't find that, because I like it the way it kind of peters out there with the weird synth thing. And again, a happy accident. Or as Pee-wee would say, I meant to do that. So always keep one of these, by the way, if you're a musician, so you can go, I meant to do that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. But I would like to say, if you're writing some songs, try and watch a horror movie and write a song about it. I just saw a movie called The Devil's Bath recently. Beautiful movie. I love the hell out of it. But I think it deserves a song. So one of you, go watch that, or many of you go watch it. And the great thing is the soundtrack. The music in it is fantastic. Someone's playing like a crumb horn, and there is a hurdy-gurdy, a beautiful hurdy-gurdy in it. So any film with a hurdy-gurdy, I will instantly be in love with. So so go watch The Devil's Bath or any horror movie and write a song about it. Okay, up next, we're going to talk music stuff. Okay, music stuff. As has been the trend of late, the bass and drums are the Ormsby bass that we made a few videos back, and the Seventh Victim drums. And they are put, as always, the reverb is Edgar Allan Poe's Basement. This is my signature sound now. I really like this, and I'm going to stick with it. So I hope you folks like that sound, because that's where I am now in my head. Now, you probably have some questions about those drum fills, drum breaks. There's one in there that comes up during the verses that is insane. I don't know if that's the way I'd originally programmed it, or if when I was, and we'll talk about sequencing later on in tips and tutorials, but when I was sequencing it in, I think I should have put like a ride and then a crash, but I wound up with 2 crashes or trash cymbals. By the way, quick thing about that trash cymbal that you're hearing in there. That is, I had taken somebody told me you could do this. I took a pot lid, for a big ass, soup pot, and put that on top of a mic stand, and I hit it. And it rang out nicely, and then I compressed it down using a compressor, obviously, until it sounded like that. And so that, I think I have that up. If you go to my sounds page, under the Seventh Victim sounds, I think that trash cymbal is available. I know Dean loves that trash cymbal. He's trying to say, yeah, in demo, there's this great trash cymbal for a song I give him back. He's like trying to recreate that. So I should send him over that if I haven't. And this was like 10 years ago that he heard that cymbal and liked it. So yeah, that's what that is. The breaks are insane, and I wanted them to be that way. 2 things I didn't want. I didn't want to put any swing on the track because it would sound like, I wanted it to sound like the drummer from the Del Airs, which are the band in the Horror Party Beach. They're very white, and I thought this would be like this white surf band, like boom, 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 boom. And he would go for these insane fills and breaks, of which he only knew 2, and he would use them as often as possible. So I thought that would be fun. So if you don't like it, that's okay. I was tempted just to go with a much less insane drum fill, but I don't kind of like it. I love it. I think it completes the insanity of the song. Now, we're going to talk for a minute about because there's only 4 instruments appear on that track. That's it. Only 4 instruments appear on the track. And so we've already covered drums and bass. The third one, here she is. This is the beauty right here. This right here is I'm showing it before. This is the Korg Minilouge XD. And this is a really awesome synthesizer. You know what? We should just talk for a minute about this. First of all, this synth photographs really well. This is the America's Top model of synthesizers. I like to photograph it in a window at sunrise. When I'm using it, I'll often have it propped up in the window so my neighbors can see it. Like, he's using that beautiful synthesizer again. One of the fun things about this, every synth should have a fun thing to it. One of the fun things is because this is an analog synthesizer, when you fire it up, it has to calibrate. And that can take a few minutes. But while it's calibrating, and I learned this accidentally, while it's calibrating, if you go in and start adjusting the time knob, you'll get a little game of Defender there. I think it's just, so between the time knob and the depth knob, you can play Defender while you're waiting for it to. And I just think that's nice. Thank you people at Korg. At first I thought I broke it, because I didn't know about it because they were keeping it really, really secret. And then my finger hit the time knob. I'm like, I broke my beautiful synth. But I didn't. There was just a hidden game in there. So that was nice of them. This will run you. I don't like to recommend anything expensive. So I feel a little bit bad about this. But I think they have these at my local music store, which is down on South Street. It's one of my favorite music stores of all time. They have these for about $600. And it'll run you $500 to $600. I think I got mine for a little less than $500 because when they first came out, I think they were unsure as to how people would react to them, and then they caught on like wildfire. So if you get one, right now I think on the secondhand market, they're pretty cheap. You may be able to get one for less than $400. I don't know who's selling theirs. I really don't. Everyone I know has one, loves one. This is the desktop model, which is a little bit cheaper because I have keyboards that I can hook into this. So I don't really need one with the keys. The keys add an extra $100 for the keys. But yeah, I love this little maniac. So yeah, kiss your synths every day. Don't use your tongue, though. The only bad thing I say about this is it's a dust magnet. It looks good from a distance, but once you get up on it, because of, I love the sort of black steel that they've got on this, and look, it's got some wood on it. But yeah, you're gonna spend a lot of time. I keep this covered up, and I actually have a special case for it. I just keep it in the case all the time. Yeah, it's a dust magnet, so put that back over here. All right, so the sound that I'm using on there is a sound called Faint Traces. And this is a third-party sound, and this is from the brilliantly named Synth Patches Company. And the sounds that they were promising, you people are about to hate me in a second, and I feel a little bit guilty for this. They were promising sounds like you could sound like Boards of Canada, Tycho, or Tame Impala. 3 bands that I normally not listening to a lot, but when I first saw these offered, I thought that they were created by the band Boards of Canada. Now, not a huge Boards of Canada fan. I don't dislike them. Some of you are like, you're listening to hipster music. No, but my friend Rebecca had turned me on to them because she said they had a really creepy video, and the video is for a song called Everything You Do Is a Balloon. And I recognized where they got the footage from. The footage is from an old film called old PSA film about bicycle safety called One Got Fat. And it is disturbing. If you don't, I'll put up the links. There'll be links for everything I mentioned. Obviously I'll have up the links for Horror Party Beach, the regular version, MST3K, and the Dark Corners review. I'll have up the Boards of Canada video for One Got Fat, the original video, or for Everything You Do Is a Balloon, the original One Got Fat video, and then I'll also have up the RiffTrax, because they took a shot at that. And again, the beauty of just having people rip into those. So, and then the fourth sound is actually done in the computer, and it is using the Flex plugin. Yay, Flex. I love that plugin. I wish that was a real life thing, a real piece of hardware. But I do love the Flex plugin. It came from a pack that you could get for that called Arc Sun Cityscape. Arc Sun Cityscape. And the actual patch that's in there is called Berry Sparkle. And when I put it in there, the idea was that just somebody in the studio, when they would get to the break part where you hear the voiceover, would say, something needs to be a little bit different in the second part of this, and they would just hit a random synth. So that's why when you see it, and these rarely work out for me, where I go to do something that's kind of wrong and then gets right, but I actually have put up the visualization of it. You can see what it looked like when I played it into the song, and you can see the hesitancy of the first one, and then they hit for the next 3. So it's rare that I plan to do something like that and it actually works out. So again, it's I meant to do that. So, God, I love P-Way. R.I.P. P-Way. All right, so that's really all you need to know about the music stuff. And now we will move on to the final bit, which is tips and tutorials. Okay, welcome to the tips and tutorials segment of the video. God, I love coffee. Today we're going to talk about sequencers and sequencing. So I want to show you right now, this is my current sequencer. This thing is heavy as hell. I think I just broke my old synth. This is the Arturia Keystep Pro. Now this will set you back $400 to $500, just so you know, if you want to get one of these. Now I'll show you what I was using before this. Oh, God, that is heavy. Before this, much lighter, the Arturia BeatStep Pro. I've got it upside down. There we go. Because you don't want to turn it upside down because it's like an Etch-a-Sketch. Well, everything will fall out of it. This is the Arturia BeatStep Pro. You can get one of these for about $250 to $300, depending where you get it. I want to thank, by the way, Dean Clean, because when I went back and started using hardware and I got the Volcas and stuff, I didn't want to use software sampling. I didn't want to sample everything from a laptop, and I was talking about how much I missed my original sequencer that I have. In fact, I've talked about it in other videos. Originally, the first sequencer I'd ever owned, hardware sequencer I'd ever owned and used, was an Alesis MMT-8, which you can get used for, and the only way you can get them used, they don't make them new anymore, about $150. And the only reason I don't have one is because I didn't keep my original, and I would have to buy a used one, and I'm very, oftentimes suspicious about used material. But the Dean had recommended one of these to me, and I used it forever. I used it live with Seventh Victim. Very, very fun thing to use. Kind of, pretty intuitive. You get 3 tracks, one for drums, and you have 2 other synth tracks. You always have a dedicated, not always, but 9 times out of 10, a dedicated drum track on these, because all the drums have to go on one track just to make life easier for you. You don't want to, I've got a track for the snare and a track for the bass, and you're using a drum machine. So, if you're using this with a live drummer, and you somehow have a live drummer rigged up to this with like electrodes on their head or something, send in a picture. I'll put that up here. So this is what I'm using. Now, a lot of people are wondering, why did you make the switch from this to the big heavy one with keys? Well, that's the first thing is, it's got more tracks. That last one, like I say, had 3 tracks. This has 4. So you've got the dedicated drum track, and then you've got tracks for 2 more instruments. And it's also got a keyboard on it, as you may have noticed. And that's helpful for me because I can now have 3 things, like a drum machine and 2 synths running on 2 tracks, and then live I could be playing a 3rd synth. And that would have helped out a lot with Seventh Victim. I can play it directly from here. With Seventh Victim, I had to play the other synth from the synth. So, because we didn't have that extra 4th track. So this is really, really super helpful for that. Also, I can use it as a controller. My original Arturia was starting to get a little weird, so I needed a controller, and I needed this. Also, you can work out with it. Building big muscles every day, just lifting this. All right, and great thing about it was I could either play into it using live mode or step sequencing mode, and I will explain those later. With the BeatStep, I couldn't do either of those. With the BeatStep, I basically had to enter everything using the BeatStep software. So I would have to put the notes into there. It was like using the piano roll in FL Studio, if you use it, or used any piano roll on a software, DAW, sequencer, whatever you want to say. Oddly enough, the software is the same thing for this as that. You couldn't swap them. When I first got this, I thought, I'll be able to put all the songs I wrote on the BeatStep into the Keystep Pro. No, couldn't do that. But they both use the same software component, which is called the MIDI Control Center. All I really use this for with the MIDI Control Center is to put in save songs. With the BeatStep, everything got written into the Control Center and then moved over to the BeatStep. But with this, just saving songs. So that's, I don't know if I want to put this down yet or not. Yeah, actually, you know what I'll talk to you about? Live and step recording. All right, live recording, that does what it says on the tin. You hit the record button up here. You'll see it. You can figure out where the record button is. It's round. You hit the record button and you play right into it. That's about as simple as you can get. You can go back later on. You can quantize what you did if you're a little bit off. I don't use that often. I will usually just play live right into the track if I want to play something live. What I use this for is usually in step recording mode, and then I use that to put in the drums and the bass and that sort of thing. All right, step recording, step sequencing mode, a.k.a. Vince Clarke mode, because Vince Clarke loved it. This is what you do. You'll hold down. See if I can do this. I feel like I'm playing a folk instrument, like I'm Mr. Spock with that wheel thing. You would hold down the key, you would press a key, press a key. There we go. Press a key, and then you would put in the song. Like I feel like I'm doing this so backwards. Put in the song. You'd hit in where it would go. In other words, where in the what word am I looking for? I think I wrote it down here somewhere. Where in the bar it would go. Yes. So, and then what you could do is, so I would hit, and I would say, I don't know what I'm hitting here. I can barely say. I guess I'm hitting a D over here, and you'll say, okay, the D goes right here. And you hold it down as you do it, and then you could go in and you could use like the gate. Well, you would use, not like the gate. You use things like the gate to put in the length of the note. So a 1 is a 16th note. A 2 is an 8th note. A 3 is a dotted 8th note, and a 4 is a whole note, and then you can expand that out. So like an 8 would be an entire, like, you know, half of a bar all the way. Yeah, I hope you got that, because you can put 4 bars into these things, and so it's awesome in that respect. And then yeah, that's all I have to say about that. I should put this down. Oh, one thing you can do, by the way, is if you want to make songs, you can actually chain the parts together using a little section over here. I'm terrible, as you've probably seen in these videos. So, and that's a bit of a pain in the ass. You have to hold down chain, and then you have to hit the part numbers. So I'm holding down chain and going 1, 1, 2, 2, and then you move on to the next track. It sounds awful, but I've been doing it for so long with every sequencer I've had that I'm kind of used to that. That's the only pain in the ass part about this. So you're probably wondering at this point, why the hell? That sounds like torture, doesn't it? Sounds awful having to do all that bit by bit. Why the hell would you do that? Okay, couple of reasons. The first is it gives me a chance to think. When I'm putting in that note length and putting in the notes one at a time, if I'm doing the step edit, which is sort of preferred method for drums, bass, I think, geez, do I want it to be this length? I can play around with it a bit. I like that, slowing down and thinking for a second. The other reason, and this is just a general reason to use a sequencer, is if I put in a sound, if I'm using like one synth sound and I realize I don't like it, I just either change the sound on the synth and record it again, or I can double. So if I got a synth and I think, well, it's a little thin, it doesn't have the sustain, or something that doesn't have the attack, I can take 2 different synth sounds and play them together. The great thing about about that is we talked earlier about we did. We talked earlier about the sound that I had used, which was the Boards of Montreal thing, which was called Faint Traces. And what I did was I took this. I was in a raffle the other week. Entered a raffle. I guess I lost because I still have the tickets. And there's a benefit for a musician, a friend of mine. And so what we did was I had these, and I'm like, geez, this would be a great thing to kind of make notes on. So I went through each sound on the Minilogue XD, and I just wrote down each one that I liked. I scribbled them, as you can see, the number, and then eventually I came to number, what is this? 338 Faint Traces. So there you go. So it just allowed me to dial through. I can just have the sequence playing and go, oh, that sounds good. So, and one last fun thing. I'm not going to lift it again. It's heavy as hell. One last fun thing about the Arturia Keystep Pro. If you leave it sit for 15 minutes, so there's an option. You can set it whether you want to do this or not, but I like it to do this. If you leave it sit for about 15 minutes, it goes into what's called Vegas mode. And Vegas mode, it just flashes back and forth. That's what you're looking at now. I like that because oftentimes I'll be watching somebody else's video about keyboards, and they'll have one of those in the background, and I'll see it start flashing back and forth, and I'll go, yeah, Vegas, baby! It amuses me. Now, if you watch a lot of these type of videos, you'll probably see that. Just shout, yeah, Vegas, baby! All right, so just want to end up by saying a couple of things. First being that some people complain about sequencing, and they say, you're not being a real musician. Real musicians play everything in live. I always refer to a quote from the great Gary Newman, who said, sequencer, sampler, backing track, at the end of the day, did you like the fucking song? So I hope you like my fucking songs. Within this series, we've got one more song to go. I'm down 5. I wanted to have 6, so I'm going to go work on that. Also, if you could let me know in the comments any sort of tips and tutorials you might want for that sort of last video, I will get that together. A lot of people, someone was asking me about auxiliary buses on mixing boards the other day and how to use those, and I explained it to him. He's like, oh, nobody ever explained that to me. I'm like, yep, well, that's my job. All right, everybody, I hope it's not too hot where you are, and please have a great month. I don't know. All right, so long.